This is my Acura RSX, and last summer I swapped out the K20A3 that came in it for the high-revving K20A2. Over the past 3 months, I've been building a turbo kit, piecing parts together, testing fitments, and even tackling a custom downpipe. Up until now, I've been figuring out how it all comes together. But today, it all changes. I'm finally bolting down the turbo kit for good, and this is where the build really takes shape.
Part 2. Come on, window. Go. Oh, no, you bitch. Dude. All right, hold on, one second. Usually I do this when I'm parked, not when I'm on the freeway. No, no, go up, please. God damn it! This is actually tragic. This is actually so tragic. And this is after it got back from the shop too. I'm not hating on the shop at all, because it was actually the boys, Dylan and Jake, that fixed the car. Come on, motherfucker. Damn it, I'm going out of my lane.
Alright, yeah, he's pretty close.
I'm pretty close. Dude, and it's all because of right here too. Literally where we're driving through right here, that's the reason why my window won't go up. For those of you who are not following me on the gram or Snapchat, you guys don't know what I'm talking about, but about 3 weeks ago, I smoked a deer. A-pillar was completely destroyed. My windows were down, so I got a lot of deer fur in the car. There was hella glass. It was like glass shrapnel in my face. Honestly, it wasn't a terrible crash. I got pretty lucky. But the left side, the entire driver's side of the car, cosmetically, it was franked. This is one of the only like functionality things that were broken, other than obviously a missing mirror. It hasn't been quite resolved yet. I'm gonna have to figure something out so that I don't have to do this every time I want to roll up the window. Rolling it down is fine, but going up is a big issue. So I haven't had this car for about 2 weeks. On top of that, the exhaust manifold for the Teggy, Zach just re-welded it. He moved the wastegate, like where the wastegate bolts onto, he moved that to the side instead of underneath. So it's just gonna be much better placement all around, and I won't have to worry about completely melting or blowing up my heater core lines. So we're on our way to go pick that up right now, but that's why I haven't really been doing much on that car either. You guys haven't seen that car. More like this video is delayed. I'm like 99.9% sure everything's gonna fit perfectly. We're not gonna have any clearance issues. We're not gonna have any heat issues, and we're gonna be able to like actually keep progress going here. So yeah, that's what we're up to.
It's a lot of hoes in here, a lot of lost souls. Whole group of dime bitches and they in vogue. Trying to find me.
Ooh, she hefty. But we got her all fixed up so you can see. Thank you, Isaiah. You can see this is where the wastegate used to be placed here. Zach cut that off, put a little plate over it, and moved it to the side. So this is gonna be a lot better for fitment, and then we'll be able to clock this any way we really need and fab up a wastegate dump tube as well. So we're gonna go ahead and toss this in the back because I don't really wanna drive with it on my lap. Catch you guys back at home. We've got our manifold back from Zach's, and we're gonna go toss it on the car and make sure, I need my nuts, hold on. All right, I got my nuts. Gotta make sure that this fits. What we need to check is the wastegate fitment. All right, now, instead of having to deal with a wastegate that sits on the bottom here, we're gonna have our wastegate sitting right back here. Plenty of room for it. The only thing I'm slightly concerned about is this fuel line right here. It is kind of close, but I might be able to kind of zip tie it back or somehow modify this bracket to keep that fuel line back. However, good thing about it is the part that's gonna get closest to it is going to be this black portion, which I'm sure will get hot, but hopefully it won't get too hot. It's gonna be mainly these metal bits right here that are gonna get super hot. And I've got plenty of heat wrap for it. So we should be fine, should be. Yep, there we go, that's a lot better. Interesting. Yeah, this bracket's gonna have to get modified. I'm gonna take this bracket out and modify that. And then I'm gonna have to address this power steering line as well. But for today, what's not gonna change is the wastegate position, which is right there, and the MAC valve position. So let's take a look at that real quick. So this is our MAC valve. I briefly went over this when I was unboxing everything I was gonna need for the turbo kit. Now it's time to dig a little bit deeper. So here's our MAC valve. We have 3 ports. They are listed on here. Port 1,
port 2 and port 3. I'm gonna toss up a diagram really quick, but essentially the MAC valve controls the amount of boost pressure going to the wastegate, and it controls both the top and the bottom. So instead of running straight off a wastegate spring, I'll be able to use boost pressure that I'm making to alter that. So I could do, like with a 3-pound spring, I could go up to 6 pounds or anywhere in between. These are super handy for controlling boost, especially on a setup like this, where I'm not exactly sure how much boost is going to be the max boost I'm gonna go, and if I wanna have different maps, such as a low boost, medium boost, and a high boost map, I'll be able to do that with the MAC valve and control everything through Hondata K-Pro. This is my MAC valve bracket. I originally wasn't sure how I was gonna mount this, I'm not gonna lie. I was thinking about either zip tying or 3M taping it. And then I saw Adam's BMW and he was like, yo bro, you should get a MAC valve bracket. They're like $10 off of eBay. So I said, you know what Adam, you're smart, I'm gonna do that. You can take your MAC valve, spin it around, and it should go like that. I'll be able to then bolt the MAC valve into the bracket so it doesn't go anywhere, and I have one hole up top where I can mount this bracket anywhere. Now, one of the things that I did on this car, I got rid of the throttle cable. This used to be for the old power steering and throttle cable. There used to be some big metal bracket here, and I don't have either of those two things anymore, so I went ahead and deleted it. I kept the hardware, however, and it just so happens that the hardware fits perfectly through the MAC valve bracket hole. The idea is to have the MAC valve mounted about here. The other thing I could do is possibly mount it upside down like this. That might be the best way to go about it, but we're not gonna find out which way we're gonna go until we get to it. So let's find out. So here, I'm slipping the MAC valve into the MAC valve bracket, making sure to pull all the wiring through. Then I'm using the hardware included with the bracket to secure the MAC valve so it stays put. Next, I'm testing out different bolt holes between the upper and lower to see which orientation I like best. And here you can see I went with the upside down orientation mounted to the bottom hole. Lastly, I'm pulling the wiring through the ECU and tucking as close to the firewall as possible. Alrighty, so this is a fuse tap. You can get these from AutoZone for pretty cheap. I actually pulled this off the Accord since I used to have an underglow kit a long time ago on the Accord. Not using it anymore, haven't been for years. And what I'm gonna do is stick this bit in to where that 15 used to be. And that way I'll be able to tap some power for the MAC valve. But we're gonna do this in a second. Let's get to cutting ECU harness wires. So I believe, I'm almost 100% sure the wire we're gonna have to cut is gonna be on harness B, and it's specifically gonna be pin B21. But I'm gonna double check before I cut the wrong wire and then we have a bad wiring harness. It is snipping time. I just double checked with K-tuned. For this car, it is going to be wire B21. And I think I already found it. This is gonna be harder to see. It's gonna be this yellow wire. You can't really see the blue, but it's gonna be this yellow and blue wire right here. Here, I'm stripping back some of the insulation. That way we have a longer lead to solder to. I'm gonna go ahead and snip it here, and that way we have a good few inches to pull the wire back and solder to this black wire right here. Here it goes. Permanent ECU wiring harness damage, about to be done. And now my car will never start or run ever again.
Where's the other end of that wire?
Good question, Kyle. Thank you for asking. The other end of the blue and yellow wire actually goes to the EVAP solenoid that sits on your throttle body in these cars. I could have also pulled it from there, but that is not really close to where the MAC valve is gonna be. So it's gonna be easier for me to just cut down here and use some of my own wiring to just have it go through the firewall, make a quick left, and wire into the MAC valve. So I'm gonna go get the soldering iron and we're gonna take care of that. It's like, yeah, I could be using the right tool for this, but I've already done this so many times.
When have we ever used the right tool for the job, bro?
Never. Look at that. And it works fine, you know what I mean? It's like, I didn't lose any copper strands. Okay. To be fair, if this was like a proper setup, and if I did this more often, I wasn't half sitting in my car, I think these would come out a lot better. Yeah, that's terrible. Wow, that was really bad.
All right, I think we're gonna have to take these apart and then resolder them. Like they're together. Yeah, they're not at all, bro. Yeah, I'm pulling them apart.
God damn it. All right.
That was my bad.
We got B21 wired in. We're able to pull the wire through the firewall as well. So now I'm gonna go ahead and re-tape it up where I took the tape off earlier. And then we can plug these back in and that'll be good to go. Let's go ahead and move up into the engine bay and we'll get those two wires soldered together. Only 3 more wires to solder. Now, the way the Mac valve works, one of them has to go to 12 volt, the other one has to be at ground, which goes to the ECU. Doesn't really matter which one though, there's no polarity on it, so I'm just gonna grab one wire and we're gonna go ahead and solder that to the B21 extension that we just made. And then the next step after that is gonna be getting the 12 volt tap from the fuse box under the dash, and then we're gonna do the same thing, route it, snip it, solder it. Let's get it.
And now it would be the perfect time to go down and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we are so close to getting this boosted K-Series up and running, and you won't want to miss out for its first start.
I think this is the best solder job that we've done today. It looks pretty good. Gonna go ahead and wrap this up. This is gonna be the power cable that'll power the Mac valve. Alrighty, so we have the Mac valve all wired in and ready to go. I didn't want to put the vacuum lines on quite yet because this manifold's probably still gonna have to come off at least a few times for me to figure out everything that needs to get pushed back closer to the firewall. And Zach is still coming over because he's gonna help me fabricate another wastegate dump tube since the current one that Carter and I made isn't gonna work with the new wastegate location. Another thing I was thinking about doing too is Cerakoting my headers. I think Cerakoting headers is a good idea because if anything, it's just gonna keep the hood temps down, and you know, you can never go wrong with that. It is another day working on the soon-to-be boosted K-Series. Today we're finally going to solve an issue that I've been worrying about the past few months, and that is the coolant lines. These coolant lines specifically run from the block to the heater core. Previously, it was going to be pretty difficult to get the lines to run from the block to the core without them melting or blowing up. However, with the new wastegate change, we have a whole lot of room to work with. Now, to protect the coolant lines from the heat, I picked up some Yamamoto fiberglass, like rubber sleeving, I guess. And we're gonna sleeve both the heater core lines just right between the manifold and the downpipe. I also have this heater core line that I picked up quite a while back. That is gonna give us all the length I think we're gonna need. So we're gonna go ahead and get the hot side of the turbo, and from there we'll be able to try to work in the coolant hoses where we have space to do so.
First, we need to remove the lower coolant hose from the heater assembly. And if there's one thing I learned from working on Christian's Mustang, it's that you don't want to yank on these too hard. Otherwise, you risk cracking the core, which means pulling out the dash and replacing the whole unit.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Next, we're going to slide our extended Gates 28471 heater hose onto the heater core and clamp it down.
There we go. Looks good. Hell yeah.
Now I'm removing the last coolant hose, which goes to the heater control valve. This valve regulates how much coolant flows to the heater core so that we can adjust the cabin temperature.
So what I'm gonna do is put the exhaust manifold, hot side of the turbo, and downpipe, and bolt those all up, mount them all together. And then we'll be able to have a good look at the gap that the coolant lines are gonna have to travel through. And from there, we can hopefully make a better estimate of which hoses are gonna fit where and what lengths I'm gonna have to trim them.
So for the 30th time, the exhaust manifold is going on, and along with that, the hot side of the turbo as well. And then I'll bolt the downpipe to that. As you can see, this is the gap I'll be working with. I need to get one of my coolant lines through here, and then I decided I'll route the longer coolant hose next to the fuel line underneath the steering rack and underneath the downpipe and turbo.
I think for now, we're just gonna go ahead and cut up this coolant hose, make sure it fits, maybe mock it up, and then that's gonna be honestly a wrap for today. And then tomorrow we're gonna get right back to it with putting all the heat sleeving on and tucking everything back as close to the firewall as possible.
And would you look at that? I was able to get the coolant line perfectly between the downpipe and the exhaust headers.
Boys, it has arrived. We've got our 3/4 of an inch inner diameter heat protective heat shielding. And we have the 1-inch stuff too. So this is gonna go in the coolant pipes. This is gonna go on the power steering and fuel lines. Once these are on, I think we can get everything tucked away up against the firewall. Let's get it. Well, first things first, we're gonna go around and see where exactly this heat protective shielding needs to go. This power steering line is gonna have to come off, and we're gonna have to put it on so it's not angled directly towards the hot pipes. And the fuel line right here, I know, is gonna sit close to the wastegate diaphragm. The next bit, this one's kind of obvious and kind of hard to see, but the coolant line running in between the manifold and downpipe, definitely gonna need some heat shielding. And I think the very last bit, I think the inner hose will be fine, but this outer hose here is definitely gonna need some heat shielding, along with a power steering line down here. This is just an AN braided line. So I'm not exactly sure how much heat that can handle. However, I'm not really trying to find out.
So first, I'm gonna disconnect the fuel line from the fuel rail. Then I'll slide the heat shielding over the fuel line all the way up to where the wastegate diaphragm will sit. After that, I'll tighten the fuel line back onto the rail and move on to the power steering. Here, I'm removing the power steering line, then I'll take the same heat shielding and slide it all the way over, making sure it reaches across the engine bay. Finally, I'll reinstall the power steering line at a better angle so it stays clear of the hot exhaust.
All right, well, I'm actually really stoked about how that turned out. Now I'm working on the coolant lines. I think the first thing we gotta do is the easy one, which is this line right here. As you guys saw yesterday, we got that one pretty much sat exactly where we need it to be. So yeah, let's get to that.
And just like with the fuel and the power steering lines, the first thing I'm gonna do is remove the coolant hose. Then I'll cut the heat sleeving to the correct length, slide it over the coolant line, and reinstall it. After that, I'll move on to the longer coolant line. Same process, slide the heat sleeving on, route it where it needs to go, and then reattach it to the coolant hard line on the engine block.
Alrighty, so we've got power steering, fuel, and coolant lines all heat wrapped and tucked away as far back into the engine bay as really needed. I was also really careful to make sure that none of the lines are touching or are super close to the steering rack, since that is a moving component back there along the firewall. Just looking at the routing of everything, I'm pretty confident that I'm not going to have any issues with blowing any coolant lines or blowing up my car if the fuel line were to rupture. That wouldn't be good. So that's a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. And the last thing that we have to do here is put the exhaust manifold and downpipe and wastegate back on and check clearances just to make sure I did everything right. Now that the manifold is in its final form, I thought I might as well Cerakote it. Back at Jared's hangar, and we've got armor black Cerakote that we're gonna toss on it. I think that's gonna look good. Won't match the turbo, but it's okay. But yeah, it's already almost 10 p.m., so we're gonna get things going, get things moving, and yeah, hopefully it turns out well.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Bro. All right, so most of you guys know that it's usually half-ass garage vibes here on this channel, but today we're actually not going to be going half-ass, and we're going to sandblast the headers, so there's a proper mechanical adhesive force for the Cerakote to grip onto, because if you guys don't know, apparently Cerakote mechanically adheres onto products, so these super smooth headers aren't gonna provide a great surface for the Cerakote. So we're gonna actually sandblast it, and we're gonna do it right, and we're gonna have a proper looking end result. Yeah, she's getting there. She's getting there. She's actually going in the oven for real. Oven's actually set. So we're gonna let her cook and gas out all the extra oils and contaminants and stuff like that that might be trapped in the metal, and then let it cool down a little bit and get to Cerakoting. Well, we've killed 30 minutes. She's all gassed out now, but the only issue is it's 300 degrees. So I think we're gonna get a fan or maybe something. Hey.
Speed up the process.
Nice.
let her cool down.
Yeah, hopefully that works.
It's still a little bit warm. It's cooled down a good bit though. Damn, that's how it should be.
Yeah.
That's really how it should be. But like me and my probably decade-old razor blade, I'm like trying to saw through the thinnest of tape. We are back in the meth lab.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Nah, but for real, we got it all taped up though. She's looking pretty good. So now we really just got to Cerakote and let it sit, let it cure, and then we'll be back in a few days to pick it up and see what it looks like.
I bet it smells terrible too. Is it bad?
Let me give her a quick sniff. Oh,
I didn't take much of an inhale because of that.
yo, that was bad. That was probably 10 years off my life right there. Oh God, yeah. Where is Christian when you need him? For real.
It smells like McGuire's hot tire shine.
Yeah. Dude, that's like straight chlorine smelling. Oh, you're a fucking twat.
Well, I missed it, but we. Oh damn, bro! It's Cerakoted black now.
Now he's gonna have heat-resistant shorts.
I think you're spread.
Yeah, it's being spread. Cerakote, please buy me a new pair of shorts. If you won't sponsor me, buy me a new pair of shorts.
Are we looking for which color the cabinet's paint, like powder coated or painted?
Yeah,
I'd say the one on the left is closest.
Yeah, definitely that one. Why?
for the dad, you know. See these ugly things? We need to improve the business. So I'm gonna do it straight from the heart. You guys need tools? I have to.
Oh
Need sockets? I got you.
Yeah, this is like peak tool cabinetry, like full snap-on tool closet. One day, one day.
Now that the Cerakote has been sitting for probably about, I don't know, honestly only 2 minutes, I'm seeing it starting to become more of a matte slash satin finish, and I'm honestly not too sad about that. I think it looks pretty good. You can see down here it's still wet and it's very glossy, but up top here it's kind of like a satin matte finish. I guess we'll just have to find out.
Well, there we are. That's a much more finished look of what it should look like when it goes on my car. I don't think I could ask for much better. That's a great finish. I wasn't sure if it was gonna be gloss or satin or matte, and it's honestly perfect. The tape job absolutely killed it. Look at that fucking line. It is mint. And that's what happens when you actually take your time and do shit right. It actually will turn out looking really good. I'm honestly super stoked on how this turned out. If any of you guys are 717 local, or even if you're not and you want to come out and get any parts Cerakoted or powder coated, go hit up Jared, JS Powders. Got the tag. Yeah, looks phenomenal.
Well boys, basically the timing between me and Jared didn't really work out, but that's okay because guess what?
We got our manifold, and here she is.
Don't worry, we're gonna get a much better look at this when we get home.
Good morning, guys. We have some quick updates to go through. First and foremost, the exhaust manifold you guys saw me just pick up in the last clip. Well, we got her mounted on the car, and it looks pretty nice. In other news, Zach came over yesterday. He tacked together the wastegate dump tube, and he took that home with him along with the rest of my exhaust because he's just going to be joining the downpipe to the rest of the exhaust. So today we're actually going to put together the turbo for hopefully the last time, and we can actually wrap the downpipe with the exhaust header wrap. But yeah, let's hop right into it.
I'm removing the hot side of the turbo because it's going to be a lot easier to assemble on the table instead of trying to do it in the car. Now, I'm carefully inserting the cold side and the turbo core into the hot side. Then I'll caulk the core so the oil feed line points straight up. fasten the hot side down, and after that, I'll flip the turbo, loosen the compressor housing so that I can mount it in the engine bay and get the compressor side clocked exactly right. Next, I'm going to mount the AN10 oil return line fitting on the bottom of the core and pull the plastic tabs out of the coolant inlet and outlet since I won't be using a water-cooled turbo setup. And now, we're ready to mount the turbo to the manifold, except I realized I got the wrong turbo gasket. Well, as I went to go put the exhaust flange gasket on, I realized I had a problem. Probably about a month and a half ago, I bought what I thought was a T3 exhaust gasket. This is actually a T4, which wouldn't be an issue on this manifold, considering this manifold has both T3 and T4 bolt holes. However, my turbo is a T3, so this isn't gonna work. Thankfully, the AutoZone by the shop has a T3 gasket in stock. Onward we go. All right, we got our T3 turbo gasket. And funny enough, this is, I guess, made for a Ford 4-cylinder, the 2.3 liter. I don't really know what cars that would have come in, but got the gasket and it looks like it's gonna fit. So head back home and continue working. First things we gotta do, gotta tighten down these studs real quick, which I'm probably just gonna do off camera. And then we're gonna get this turbo on and see how she looks. Well, there we go. We've got the turbo officially mounted up for good. It looks pretty nutty. Looking at this and knowing that it's gonna be staying like this is just different. And also the other thing too is the black Cerakote on the silver Cerakote looks pretty decent as well. Maybe in the future, if I ever get a different turbo or anything like that, I'll probably end up Cerakoting it black, but I kind of like how the silver distinguishes the turbo, and then the black, of course, is the manifold. But that's gonna do it for this one. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. We did get quite a bit done. Next episode, we are going to be getting this thing all squared away, started up, and hopefully out on its first drive on the road. That's gonna be really exciting. So go down and hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.